everyone, I've got an exciting topic to go over with you today. This is about beginning to use all of your fretboard for improvising. So this is the makings of, you being free as a banjo player to do whatever you want without having to memorize every solo. Before we get started though, if you haven't gone to banjo tidbit number 7, you should do that. That one is all about finding the chords up and down the fretboard, so finding every version of every G chord, every version of every C, so forth and so on. And that is a step that you need to have mastered in order for this lesson that we're going to be doing today to be of any use to you. So that said, if you're comfortable finding the versions of G, C, and D up and down the neck, then that's what we're going to be working with. So that's your kind of prerequisite for this class. Just as a quick recap, what that lesson was about was finding the major chords up and down the fretboard. We're really today just going to focus on G, C, and D. So if you can roll through every version of G, every version of C, and every version of D up and down the fretboard, you're set and good to go. I'm going to do that on G right now so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just going to play a forward-backward roll over every version of the G chord. So here we go. Once you know how to find those chords up and down the fretboard, that's great, but you're going to find out pretty quickly that putting down the full chord shape, fretting the 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's not necessary, and it's so cumbersome and clunky that it's better to pare it down to only the strings that you need. So a little exercise you can be doing to practice that is just nix the 3rd and 4th string and only be fretting the 1st and 2nd string of each of these chords. So I'm going to roll through all the G chords just playing the 1st and 2nd string, and then I'll break it down and show you how to do that. So what you saw there was pretty straightforward. I'm just playing fretting the 1st and 2nd string of each of these chord shapes, letting go of the 3rd and 4th string, and playing a Foggy Mountain breakdown roll, which is 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, just in case you don't know that. And the only thing really that I need to explain to you is that the fingerings for the left hand are going to change based on which chord shape you're on. So anytime that you have an F shape, that one stays the same. You take off the 3 and 4 and you're left with pinky on the 1st string and index on the 2nd string. When you go to a D-shaped chord though, if you nix the 4th and 3rd string, you're left with your pinky on the 1st string and your middle finger on the 2nd, which is pretty clunky and not very useful. So I'm going to switch that and have index on the 2nd string, ring finger on the 1st string. And what that does is free up your pinky and your middle finger to be doing other things and being more active later on after you're ready to start adding licks and things into this method of improvising. The next one is the bar shape. And that one, I almost would never suggest using a bar, like laying one finger across unless you absolutely have to. It's just too hard to get a good clean sound doing that. And so when you have the 2-finger version of this chord, you're going to be using your ring finger on the 1st string and middle finger on the 2nd string. And again, the whole purpose for that is that you can later on down the road start adding in, your pinky and index can be doing things up there like this. So it frees them up to be doing more interesting things. And now you've got the basic technique for G chord. So we're going to go and do the exact same thing now over C and D. So you have a chance to practice that. So let's do that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. and do the same thing for D. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you are super comfortable going up and down the neck, playing the 2-finger version of G, and doing the same thing up and down the neck with all the 2-finger versions of C and the 2-finger versions of D, the next thing that you want to get good at is breaking it down and doing 2 versions of G, 2 versions of C, and 2 versions of D. Whatever versions you pick, the more random and irregular, the better. But I'm going to go ahead and demo this, and I'm going to pick the F-shaped version of G for my first one, the D-shaped version of G for the second G. And for C, I'll do the bar shape and the F shape. And for D, I'll do the F shape and the D shape. So this little exercise will sound something like this. All of my regular students and anyone that's ever been in a camp class with me or anything have heard me rant and rave about Strum Machine, which is this great learning tool, especially for stuff like this when you're learning to change chords kind of at random and go to different spots on the fretboard. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. There's Strum Machine. It's a website, not an app. And this website has pretty much any bluegrass song you can think of, and you get to set the tempo and you get to set the key, and it's just guitar rhythm. So you get to practice these skills along to an actual guitar rhythm. So I'm going to show you, kind of demo how you can use Strum Machine to practice this technique that we're doing right now. And I've pulled up Blue Ridge Cabin Home, and I'm just going to play along with it, switching these chord shapes at random.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And just like that, you're using the entire banjo fretboard. And that is an accomplishment you should be proud of. And really, you could take exactly what we're doing and go and plug that in, to a 1-4-5 chord progression in a jam session. So that's great. The next step in all of this, though, is to treat this as a template from which you can add awesome little licks and things into. We're going to do that in the next banjo tidbit. But right now I'll just demo that so that you have something to look forward to and kind of have an idea about what this is building up towards. Gonna put on my trusty Strum Machine for this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So there you go. It all starts with just getting really comfortable with these 2-finger versions of the chord shapes and playing those chord shapes with a Foggy Mountain Breakdown roll in some nice, easy tunes with backing tracks. Like great tunes that I would suggest would be like 9-Pound Hammer, Blue Ridge Cabin Home, Bury Me Beneath the Willows, really good. I Saw the Light. Get really comfortable using the 2-finger chord shapes for those. And in a soon-to-come Banjo Tidbit, I'm going to show you some easy licks that you can begin plugging into that template pattern. And, you know, it's not long before you're playing some really exciting breaks and coming up with them on your own. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks again to all the patrons. I really appreciate all of you guys, and really am enjoying all the interaction and getting to know all of you guys.